What's going on, YouTube, fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. Y'all try to keep up with me. It's like 2 stories in one. For the day one, fam, welcome back. Y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. And you can share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Let's get right into the story. Most of us know in the streets, association is everything. Meaning if you go outside every day and the people you choose to hang around are robbers and shooters, even if you are a good boy, that's not into all that. More than likely, that's how people will start viewing you. Even though we can't help the environment we grow up in and the things people we've been around our whole lives choose to do, it goes back to the old saying, guilty by association. If your mans go out here and robs the plug and they figure out who did it and you hang with him every day, when that get back comes around, nobody will give you the heads up like, yeah, bro, don't hang with your boy today. We on his heels. So a lot of us learn early on, you should watch the company you keep. But that's kind of hard when you are a young man or woman trying to find out where you belong in this world. You might feel like, yeah, bro out here pulling moves and hitting licks, but that's my homie. He always plays it cool when I'm around. But one thing about hanging out in certain crowds, either they are going to get on the level you on, which might be positive, or you will start being on the type of time they are on. And usually, it goes the crowd's way. Once you put yourself in certain situations, we like to think to ourselves, it's good, nothing will go wrong, even after we see others crash out or lose their life. Not knowing our actions, the friends we choose, not only affect us, but our loved ones as well. And sometimes in the streets, things come back full circle. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be taking it to St. Paul, Minnesota, to discuss a case of a man who felt he needed to get revenge on his little brother's friend, who he felt was responsible for his slam. Back in 2018, 19-year-old Wilbert McAllister was a young man trying to navigate the streets of Minnesota and find his way. Always into sports from a young age, loving to travel and explore his surroundings, Wilbert stayed active and just graduating high school that year, had plans to go to college and better his life. But just like most teens, Wilbert's social life was everything. He had his friends who he kicked it with all the time, was always willing to meet new people and make new associates, including one young man who we will call K, and another young man named Javon. Wilbert, who went by the nickname G Will, had seemed to find his circle. K was cool, and Javon was into music and a local rapper. The young men had only been knowing each other for a short time, but instantly grew a tight bond. Then on September 7th, 2018, all 3 young men were together in the early morning hours when they decided they wanted to smoke. G Will was riding in the back seat and K and Javon was in the front. They called the plug and asked if he could meet them, and the man agreed. They all met on Avon Street and Carroll Avenue in St. Paul. It was about 9 a.m., but allegedly G Will was in a blind. His homies were plotting to rob the plug. As K got out the car, he walked over, got in the back seat of the man's car as he was wearing the grass. He was getting ready to pass it to K. That's when the young man upped the gun, put it to his head, and told him it was a robbery. He kicked out his phone, keys, and the product as G Will and Javon was waiting in the other car until K told the plug to pop the trunk. He wanted to see what else he had. The man told him it was an old whip and he had to do it manually. That's when K called Javon to come over and help. As they all started walking back to the car, the plug pulled out his own gun and let off shots at K and Javon. As they shot back, it seemed to be a full-fledged shootout. Still in the back seat, G Will ducked down for cover before catching 2 bullets to the back. The young man jumped out the car after being hit and fell to the ground. That's when everybody else involved got low and tried to get off the scene. Someone in the location called local police, who responded to the area a little after 9 a.m. to find K looking like he was hurt and in shock that his homeboy G. Will had been shot. G. Will was rushed to a local hospital, but unfortunately, he would pass away from his injuries. Back on the scene were two different shell casings, one from a .22 caliber and one from a .40 caliber. People told police K, G. Will, and another young man was in a car. When G. Will was shot, K jumped out the car to help G. Will, but the other young man moved G. Will's body out the way and took off in the car, leaving both young men, referring to Javon being the driver. Plug returned to the scene to tell his side of the story. He claimed the young men called him to cop some grass, but they soon upped the gun on him, and once he was able to pull his own gun, a shootout started. He alleged he saw Wilbert or G. Will in the back seat moving around, looking like he was reaching. Scared he had a gun as well, he opened fire on the young man, hitting him in the back twice before taking off. He was never charged, but K and Javon will both go to prison for the situation. As both of the young men were serving their time, some people were angry. G. Will lost his life and felt like if he wasn't hanging with the two young men, situation probably would have never happened, including his brother, Brendan Reynolds. As a few years passed, Brendan had revenge on his mind and felt somebody should feel his pain. Fast forward to 2021. Javon, who went by the rap name J. Dot, was free from jail and hanging out back in St. Paul. A party was being held on June 9th, 2021 at Thompson County Park. The event was to raise money for a man's legal fees that was jammed up. It was a lot of people in attendance, including Javon. As everybody was turning up and having a good time, about an hour after being there, a motorcycle pulled up and a man got off. He walked straight up to Javon and swung on him before stating, "You got my little brother killed," and pulled out a gun, letting off multiple shots. While trying to get back up on his feet and flee, Javon shot back, but was hit multiple times as the other man left the scene. People at the party called local police, who responded to the location to find Javon shot multiple times, barely responsive and breathing. When asked what happened, he stated he was ambushed. When asked who did it, the young man didn't respond before unfortunately taking his last breath. Witnesses would not give any information. They only tried to hide the gun that Javon had, as many people claimed they didn't know what happened. One person stated it was a graduation party, trying to spin police, before then admitting it was to raise money for one of their guys that was locked up. Javon's family and mother felt it was all a setup and he was lured to the location to be hit, as no one wanted to corroborate or tell police what happened. He stated his music was just taking off and he was about to move away from Minnesota to get a fresh start and to go on and live a better life. But now, at just 20 years old, the young man was gone. Detectives got surveillance video from the park that showed the motorcycle pulling up, a man approaching Javon, swinging a punch before shooting. Eventually, they would get a lead that the shooter was 24-year-old Brendan, and the reason was because the young man felt Javon had been the reason his brother was killed back in 2018. Few months would go by before Brendan was pulled over in his whip at the St. Paul International Airport and taken into custody, charged with second-degree hit, in which it seemed to be a case of revenge. As some details in G. Will's case was revealed, he was left on the scene instead of people taking him to the hospital. Some felt he was left on purpose without help. It was now 2 young men gone, and K was locked up for the attempt on a plug and a robbery. This year, in a shocking decision, Brendan's second-degree hit charge was dropped to manslaughter, in which this month he pled guilty and faces up to 15 years in prison. Rest in peace to Wilbert and Javon. I send my prayers and condolences to both families. This is a crazy situation and shows how for every action, it's a reaction. I'm not sure if G. Will knew about the robbery or not, but unfortunately, it cost him his life. And his passing put hatred and pain in his brother's heart. I'm not sure if that was his real blood brother or if they were just calling each other brothers. But it's crazy how the cycle came back full circle. And Javon's people feel he got set up to even be at the party in the first place. I know when we hang in crowds, we feel our peoples are solid and will never backdoor us or put us in harm's way. But with both young men, that's exactly what happened. And like I said earlier, both their actions and circles they chose to hang with not only unfortunately affected them, but the people they loved. For Javon, his mother had to bury her son. For Wilbert, his brother was so hurt, he crashed out years later. At the end of it all, everybody lost. Javon is gone, but Brenda's actions wasn't going to bring G. Will back. It just added to the never-ending cycle. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this situation. And remember, we gotta succeed not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, crazy. Rest in peace, both them young men. But yeah, I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. This is another episode of Hood Tales. This your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.